All right. Top of the morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another show of the Best Of Weekly podcast. I'm joined once again by Brandon. Brandon,
Yo,
what's going on, bro?
what's going on, man? Happy to be on again. I always look forward to doing this, the podcast and everything. It's been going really well, and uh, man, life is going good. The Lord's moving in so many different ways, and it's a blessing to just be back on and be able to talk to you and in good health and good faith. So let's do it.
Awesome. I love having you on the show, Brandon. I think it's the third time, right?
Yeah, it's the third one. I
That's
look forward to many more, dude. They're awesome. They keep me accountable, and I always say that, and I love that.
yeah, same. Your reel did awesome. Everyone loved your reel. You
Oh yeah,
speaking, that was cool. It was like the
yeah,
background music was fitting.
yeah. I know. I loved it. It worked out really well. It
Yeah.
was good.
Awesome, man. Well, so what's been up with you lately, man? What's been your focus since we last hopped on? Anything you're focusing on specifically?
Yeah, I was gonna mention this a little bit beforehand, but it's actually good that you asked me now because it'll provide a good segue into like leading into what we should talk about today. But it's been really it's been good at work. Everything's been going really well, and I've been seeing so many lessons at work and like different things that the Lord has been like pointing me to in so many different ways. And it's always a tough thing to say pray for patience because then you get moments where you need to be patient and
Right.
it sucks and it sucks a lot. Yeah, it really is challenging because you're like, why did I pray for this? Like, why did I need this? Because it hits you in times when you have no patience and it hurts.
Yeah.
And it really does suck. But with guests lately, I feel like I've been rushing and like through the little like I guess monologue or like how I have like the way I check them in. And I'm not like robotic or any way, I'm not trying to say the same thing over and over again. I try to mix it up. I say, what brings you into the hotel? Try to start a way to have a conversation with them. So that way, the whole time, it's not just so bland as we check guests in.
Mhm.
But I've been seeing so many more lessons from the Lord to be patient. I've
Mhm.
been dealing with a lot of guests at the hotel that there's a good language barrier where a lot of the guests don't speak fluent English. And so it's really challenging for me to try to understand what they're saying. And so it's interesting to me because I still find ways to make good conversation or make good dialogue with certain guests that obviously don't speak English as well as I do, or the conversation is just tough to have because we don't speak the same language. But there's certain ways to still make people smile or to make them feel welcomed into the hotel. And we can resort all the way back to the first meeting we had about hospitality. But um, yeah, it's just been so many lessons I've been seeing with that. And I've been telling myself like I need to slow down. I need to be more patient. And it's been challenging. It's been really challenging, but it's been good because I've been seeing more and more fruit come out of it. So it's been great.
That's awesome, man. I actually have a question about the hospitality industry that you're in.
Yeah.
Because we're in Vegas and all the California fires, has
Ooh.
there been more people, has work been busy or more people checking into the hotel at Durango or no?
Yes, yeah. At the Durango, we're kind of limited on rooms. We only have 209 rooms specifically at Durango,
Mhm.
but I work under Station Casinos. And so there, we have multiple hotels here in Las Vegas. And the uptick that we've seen as a company for stations has been massive. We have Palace Station, we have Red Rock, we have Green Valley Ranch, Sunset Station. There's so many more. Durango. I mean, there's so many different properties that people were coming to. And I remember seeing and asking my management team, like, have we seen a major uptick from the fires? And they were saying, oh, 100%, absolutely. And we were obviously giving those guests, very discounted rates, and some guests even comped, depending on, the severity of the situation or how bad, like some people completely lost their homes and stuff, which is just so mind-boggling and so crazy to me, like how that even happened and, where the situation came from. And it just the lack of resources that people had out there was just so challenging for them. And I can only imagine packing up whatever you can bring and, take off to Las Vegas. I mean, maybe there's family out here who knows the situation for a lot of these people, but yeah, it was definitely a blessing to be there for a lot of people. I know firsthand when I was working, I mean, it was probably a day after the fires had kicked off. I think we had about 7 or 8 guests completely like solely came to the Durango because they had family that lived close to Rhodes Ranch or they needed an extra room, so they bought, a room at the Durango. But I mean, we were giving them rooms. I mean, I almost want to say they were almost 80 to 90% off the first couple of guests that we were giving them. I mean, pretty much just charging them the tax that, because I mean, after a point, you can't really get rid of that. But,
Right.
there were certain things where they were. the company definitely helped him out, but it was nice to see firsthand, and it made me feel good, to help those people out. And I have a special love for California. I was born here in Vegas, but I grew up in Palm Springs,
Oh
and I
wow.
went all of my elementary school out there. So yeah, a little town called La Quinta. It's actually really close to where they hold the Coachella Valley Festival and
Oh,
Stagecoach. It's almost one city over. Like it's called La Quinta Valley, and yeah, I grew up there for preschool all the way through fifth grade, and then that's when I came out back to Las Vegas in 2012. So I have a special place in California, and I always want to see California thrive. And it has so much good stuff that California could produce. It could be. I think I saw a stat one time saying like its economy could be its own country at one point with how much like people that live there and how much money it generates. And it's just crazy to see. So when a neighboring state like that hurts, it sucks.
right, right. Speaking of California, bro, well, that's interesting. I figured that there'd be a lot of people coming over here from the fires to Vegas. I was just curious about that. But speaking of California, the Rams game, man,
Dude, that was
how did
crazy.
did you watch the whole thing? What'd you think?
Yeah, well, that was wild because yeah, I was at work, but the blessing of being at Durango, there's a massive television that's like on the left-hand side, so I'm able to peek over there every now and then and check the score and stuff. But I saw how much they were promoting the fires before the game, like how much they're promoting the what was it, the firefighters that were helping on the fires and everything, the first responders. And I mean, I was like, wow, I feel like the Rams might have a chance because they have something to fight for. And
Yeah.
the Vikings had such a good season. They only lost like 3 games. And I was like, oh no, I can see how this story paints itself. Like the Rams are going to come in with a different spirit. And they fought the Eagles tough the last week. And I was like, I mean, they were playing for keeps. They were doing good. But yeah, that was a crazy game. I can't imagine doing that well in the season to lose in the first round like that. Like to me, the NFL is so brutal how it does that. Like you have all this amazing season, like you do all this crazy stuff and everything goes so well. And then first round, boom, you're gone. It's like, holy, like the Lions too. Like the Lions got out their first time. And I was like, yeah, it's just that's what makes NFL so fun to watch, I guess.
Yeah, because the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers all had good years.
Yeah. First
Um,
round, all of them.
all,
Well,
all
Lions were second round, but still.
Yeah, they would have been first in any other division except for the
Right.
East division, but probably. But man, that was a good game. The Rams fought hard. To be honest, Brandon, this is my opinion. I do not like watching football NFL games in the snow. I don't
No,
like,
I know.
I feel like I wish they would have done the game. I guess they couldn't do it at LA, maybe the Cardinals Stadium again. But just like imagine if the game was at indoor turf, the weather didn't play a part. Like it'd be way more
Yeah.
high scoring. Puka Nakua would have had a lot more catches. You already
Yeah.
know.
I
Saquon
know that he's a Vegas legend too.
is, yeah. But I did watch that game. The Rams, they fought hard. They
Yeah.
almost had that little comeback at the end. Um, but they
Yo,
didn't.
you know what's funny with Puka, I think? I don't know if you remember, but I think it was Nathaniel Curlew. I believe that's his cousin. I
Yeah,
think that they are cousins, yeah. And I think that was funny because he was on our same freshman football team growing up, which was funny.
yeah, for real.
So
And
crazy to think about.
I was on the same basketball team years ago as Puka.
No way.
Yeah, in
That's pretty
Vegas.
wild.
Yeah, and then we played against him in football, like eighth grade. Um,
Wow.
Dana White. Dana White's had a son that has a son that's our age, and
Yeah, Aiden, right? Or
what's his
no?
name? I don't really know him, but
It might
some.
be Dana Jr. I know that he has a son named after him, and then Aiden. They always come by the Durango. They're very friendly. It's
Oh, really?
great people. Yeah, they always come by, always take care of our guys and stuff, which is super cool. So that's really nice.
That's dope. Well, they had their Pop Warner team, bro, and they were stacked, and Puka was on it. And he was,
Legend, bro. He's killing the game right now.
but yeah, so cool to see him. And then so I wanted to ask you, who do you have winning this weekend against, the Chiefs,
Man,
obviously playing the
no,
Bills,
I
and then you
know.
got the Eagles playing the Commanders. Who do you think's gonna win both games and be in this?
Man, at the forefront of it all, this really is brutal. I last time we talked, I wanted the Ravens so bad. I wanted them. I thought they really were going to do it, but they shot themselves in the foot too many times. They've Lamar fumbled, Mark Andrews fumbled, Mark
That's
Andrews catch, which was just like, oh, that's so brutal, like a way to go out. And then they had that the first one of the first drives of the game, they had Derrick Henry wide open and Lamar barely underthrew it, and like there was just so many little mishaps, and I was like, man, this team. But As a Dolphins fan, it's so hard to say I'm rooting for the Bills, but I don't think I can. Like I don't know who to root for. I'm so like at a loss, but the Chiefs, like that's crazy too. Like they can make history. And there's a couple guys on the Chiefs that I'd love to see win. Like I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is so deserving of a ring.
That's what I
And so
think.
like yeah, like I there's it sucks because like obviously it's the Chiefs and the stigma around like the three-peat is crazy. But then there's like you start looking through the team and like certain guys. And I've told you prior, like Andy Reid is just a wizard of a coach. And like he deserves so much credit. And I feel like the credit that goes towards like Mahomes and like Kelsey or whoever else, like their defense gets little to no credit too, and they deserve a lot of it. Chris
It's
Jones is just a monster and their secondary is super underrated. But
fact.
yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't know. And then Jaden Daniels being like the first rookie to do that for the Commanders is super crazy. And I don't know. The Eagles fan base is hard to get behind. And so it's just like I don't really know how to look at any of this. It's interesting for sure. If we could get the Super Bowl rematch from the Chiefs and Eagles just a couple years back, or the Bills, man, like I feel like Josh Allen is super deserving of everything. I feel like he's like everybody's hero right now because everybody wants the Chiefs to lose. And so, I mean, I'd love to see the Commanders and Bills, but I have a feeling that it's going to be the Chiefs and Eagles again.
I could see that, and I could see the Chiefs for sure getting the dub. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I really could.
I
At this
would,
point, the three-peat seems so like possible. It's going to happen.
yeah, part of me wants to see the three-peat just to like witness greatness, bro, because
Yeah,
that's very
that's
rare.
a that's a good segue to talk about greatness and everything. That's so
Yeah,
true.
it's so true. So we'll see what happens, bro.
Yeah,
I could talk sports all day, especially college
bro.
football.
So much, yeah. It's fun. It's nice working with Bellman at the Durango because predominantly at the front desk, it's a lot of girls. And so the Bellman are predominantly, I think it's all dudes. I don't think they have a single girl that works in the Bellman position at Durango. So it's nice when they come over and they always come over to the front desk and we can just talk sports because that TV has been super beneficial for us all.
It's like, bro, as a guy, you can just obviously if the other person knows about sports, but like you
Dude,
click with any guy. It was so funny. We
right.
were at the Apple store maybe a month or two ago, and there was this worker. Did I tell you this story or no?
No, 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 no. I
Okay.
don't think so.
Anyway, the worker at the Apple store was this dude. He's like 30 years older than me. He's like, my wife did not vibe with this guy. He was trying to fix her phone, and he was like kind of low key sick and like kept like coughing,
Oh,
like rubbing his nose. Just and my like my wife was like, "Why is this guy working? Like, what is he doing?" And like, it seemed like he didn't know that much about phones at first. Uh, but anyway, me and him just ended up vibing the whole time, and we're talking about sports, football, and like, it's just. I was just thinking, like, wow, like I told my wife, if you're a guy, you can just vibe with any other dude about.
anybody. It's crazy how that works, bro. Like you can just like start talking about anything. Like it's so great. I like the last Olympics that came around, like, oh, I loved that. Like I don't
Yeah,
even know much about like track and field or whatever the category was, but I was like, dude, this is awesome to watch. Like it was so cool. And like Peacock did a super cool thing where it was called the Gold Zone. And so like you just click on it and then like they'd be like, okay, today we have swimming, this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. I hope LA gets like rebuilt or at least somewhat cleaned up for certain parts for the Olympics in 28 because I would love to go. Like that would be so much fun. And like the city itself, they have so many arenas and stadiums that they're gonna compete in. Like to see the Olympics in SoFi Stadium is gonna be so awesome. Or to see, they just built that new Intuit Dome for the Clippers. Like that's gonna be cool to see them like hold stuff in there. And then they have so many things that they do. They have the ocean right there, all the water sports and everything. Like, dude, it just feels like it's such a good destination spot for the Olympics. And like I just am stoked for that. Like I feel like that's gonna be super fun if they can get everything right before then.
straight up, dude. Straight up. I love sports. It definitely brings people together,
Yeah.
and
It was tough in COVID when they all went away. It was like there's nothing to bond with people about. Like it was brutal.
yeah.
Super passionate about them, bro. They're fun.
Yeah, especially in the hospitality business, when you got to connect with people sometimes, I feel like sports are a great way. Like if you see a guy
Yeah,
walking, checking in and he has a Cardinals hat on,
bro.
by Arizona,
Easy.
Cardinals, like,
So easy. It makes the dialogue go so much smoother and so much faster and better. And it's great, bro. It really is. We got the college football championship coming in 2027. That's gonna be a blast.
That's cool.
That's going to be so sick at Allegiant Stadium. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Vegas is turning into a that's one thing we could talk about for Vegas is, in my opinion, and I'll say this out loud proudly, turning into the new hospitality sport, like the new sport hub of the United States.
Yeah,
Everything I feel like is moving this way. The NBA is even talking about expanding. We're getting the A's soon. And then 2027, the college championship. I think March Madness is coming out in 2028, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be crazy for their championship games, which like the NCAA and UNLV, they used to clash back in the day, which is crazy to think about. So for them to like finally make the step into Vegas is a massive thing. So it just shows like we have the hotels, we have the industry for to house people and like to show them like this is going to be a massive shift. I feel like in the next 5 to 10 years of Las Vegas becoming that new number one of like entertainment capital of the world.
I agree, bro.
And
And
UFC, we could talk about that too. They're massive as well. They're already posted. They've been out here for years. So it's interesting to see all these sports rising and yeah, they're it's really blowing up.
it really is. It's so cool to see, especially with the Golden Knights too.
Yep,
Always doing so good. Just
for
goes to
real.
show what we're capable of in Vegas. And
I
um,
know.
in terms of like spirituality and faith, right? Like we did mention a little bit of greatness and something that
Yeah,
like reading about, and I want to know your opinion is that God has a work for you to do, for everybody individually to do, like a great work.
yeah,
And I think it's very important to ask yourself, what would that work be? What do you consider that plan, that work to be that God has for you, that He needs you to be great with? And I'm all about like, I like specific like actions or like exercises you can do. And that's one of them for somebody who wants to know more of like their spiritual purpose is simply asking themselves, well, okay, God has a plan for us, for me, something great for me to do. What do I consider that is? And simply like writing that down on a notebook,
yeah.
just rather than like studying about that. So specifically, that's something. But I wanted to ask you like what you think about that, Brandon. Like, I don't know, have you ever had an experience like that? Like how you could be God's like vehicle or something?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I really do like that a lot. There's so many different branches or avenues you can go down with that. But I think the main branch that I have that I feel like I seek out when it comes to greatness and everything is honestly the Lord's will. I think that is like the greatest thing that He has is just being like God and having that faith and relationship with Him. The one thing that I want to talk about with this though is I think the number one word that comes to my mind when it comes to greatness is consistency. If you want to have a great relationship with the Lord, you have to be consistent. If you want to be great at your sport that you're in, you have to be consistent. If you want to, anything you want to get better at, if you want to be a better front desk agent at a hotel, you have to be consistent in checking people in or consistent in working at your craft. If you want to lose weight or if you want to work on your body, you have to be consistent in what you're doing. Consistency is so key. And I feel like it's so key when it comes to, you know, diving into the Lord's word or diving into scripture or figuring out what his will is on your life. And we've talked about it many times and I've mentioned it too, but purpose is so big. And the moment you find your purpose, so it almost is like a step process. It almost feels like find your purpose, know what your purpose is, be consistent, and greatness comes after. It's almost that recipe right there.
Right.
Purpose plus consistency equals greatness, in my opinion. And
Ooh,
I feel like that's a really good recipe for greatness.
yeah, for real. Um, That's really powerful. So what was it that it was purpose plus
Consistency equals greatness.
yeah,
When
and
you know your goals and you work to achieve them, like in a consistent mindset, greatness will come.
yeah, and speaking of like nurturing, making sure your relationship is good with God, and being consistent with it, I mean, what do you think, how do you think we can do that? Because for
Yeah,
me, I'm thinking usually it's a lot more simple than what we think. We can do
right.
that by attending church. Um,
Yeah,
at the services itself. And then I feel like most churches have other activities during the week that maybe you can pull up to and just be active.
100%.
And then there's the personal stuff, like making sure you read some scriptures, study, and actually do it to ponder and learn. And then your relationship. by praying with God, talking to Him. And there's other stuff too, like journaling.
Yeah.
One thing I'm trying to do is I have a little like bead rosary thing on my desk uh
Mhm.
that my wife got me, and I'll just, I don't know, pick it up sometimes, and I was just holding it to like count my blessings with that. It's like kind of a form of prayer, but it's just showing gratitude. But the
100%.
main thing I want to say was I think it's good to nurture your relationship with God by just being consistent and talking to Him and serving
Yeah.
Him even when you don't need something, not just asking, not just praying when you need something, but like even when life is really good, like thanking Him.
Yeah. No, it's so true, bro. It really is. And I think the biggest thing I heard when it comes to consistency, and this was I do every now and then I'll go to this young adults group that we have at our church, and it's solely for people in the range of like 18 to 25. And the biggest thing that I heard from a good our youth pastor was him saying, you can't, like, if you only were to eat on Sunday and then go that whole week without eating and then try to eat again on Sunday, you would starve. And
Yeah.
so I thought that was a really good analogy because he's like, if you only go to church on Sunday and you just get the word from the Lord that day, like if you go all that whole week without knowing or praying or doing whatever, and then you come back that following Sunday, like, yeah, you'll be filled up, but like your tank of what your spirituality is not as much as you think it is. Like every day you need to be, just 5 minutes of your day, like 5, 10 minutes. Like how hard is that for anybody? And when it comes to consistency, it's the hard part. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear the, oh, I don't want to get into the word today. Dude, I have my days where I'm like, I don't want to read. I don't want to do this. Like, to be completely honest with you, like, I'm not the biggest fan of reading. Like, I don't like it that much. I'd rather listen to it. So there's other avenues to go about it. And even honestly, me doing this with you right now is super helpful. Like in my faith, like just talking about other ways of doing it is great. And there's so many little things that you can read. There's the book that I have right here. I'm gonna shout it out real quick. It's really good. It's called New Morning Mercies. It's like a really good book. Like
Ooh,
every day. It's like I haven't read today's yet, but I was planning on it soon, I promise. But when I get on it, like it just tells you like you have like your one page, and like today's January 26th or 25th. And so you read today's, and then at the bottom, it tells you like for further study, you can go into this scripture and find it. You don't have to do the further study, but you can just read the 1 day devotion. And I just feel like that fills me up so much of the Lord's like mercy and his grace. But I try to be consistent with that, but it's challenging because some days I'll obviously forget and I regret that so much because then I feel so guilty. It's like, why did I not take 5 minutes out of my day to talk to the Lord or pray? And every day I pray. That's one thing that is super consistent with me, that I feel like prayer is so powerful in so many different ways. When you pray for somebody, that's powerful. When you pray for a group, or even when you pray in a group, when there's multiple people that get to talk, I feel like there's so much power in prayer, man. Like we talked about it briefly on the last podcast we were on, but I'm a feeler. Like I feel the Lord's presence. And when I pray with a group, like I just know the Lord's hand is so involved in that. And like I get chills just talking about it right now. Like it's honestly so great. So yeah, that's definitely how I would go about that. So consistency with that is good.
yeah, I love that. That's so cool. I am not naturally I'm not a reader,
I know.
but I
Yeah.
definitely, you can just find ways though that work for you. And what I mean by that is like since I'm not a reader, I literally just try to read and I'm like, all right, I just want to circle, highlight one thing that resonates with me. Like
Yeah.
that's the goal. Like some
Yeah.
people try to be like, I'm gonna read 50 pages
It's
today.
too
I'm like,
much. Yeah.
that's just not me. I'm not like that. So I don't know, even just reading for 5 minutes or one chapter, but that's really cool,
Yeah.
that book. I've been trying to be consistent about reading a book in just different areas of my life. Like I just forgot the power in that, right? Like even fitness. So I have this book, it's called Limitless. It's this older lady who tried to run across the United States, failed, but then she failed because of like these crazy injuries, and then she transitioned into swimming, biking, and running, and she became a beast triathlete, even when she was like 70 or 80. And
Wow.
I was reading that book and I read it a couple of years ago and I was like, wow, I forgot like the power of reading a book about different areas of your life because I've only been reading like self-improvement and a little bit
Yeah.
of spirituality the last couple of years. But when I went back and I was like, wow, this like really pushed me to give me that extra motivation that I need to step up my cardio game because right now cardio, I'm healing injuries, so I can't run. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe like this inspired me to get back in the water and try to swim, to like go and do like the rowing machine. That's like the cardio one. So
Yeah,
if you're like struggling spiritually, even if you hate reading, just and you specifically have a desire to strengthen your faith, like just try opening up a book. And
yeah,
it's not even what the book will say. It's just like the action of knowing that you're nurturing your faith by doing
100%.
something, like that'll give you the confidence. And which brings
That's
well,
yeah. No, keep going. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about because one of my favorite things from a self-improvement book is you build confidence by doing small things that give you control. Like the author of Atomic Habits was like a super mid baseball player, barely made the team. He was a freshman, knew he wasn't going to get any playing time. But the two things he said that actually helped him build confidence and change the trajectory of his life was he started cleaning his room and going to bed on time. And
Ooh.
those small things gave him confidence towards his academics. He ended up, having like a phenomenal GPA. But then with time, that transferred over to his baseball career. He started lifting weights, got bigger. A couple years later, he was like an athlete, great pitcher. So I wanted to ask you, like, how does someone build confidence spiritually if they don't even, you know where to start?
It's a great question. I have such a good answer and I can relate to it in so many good ways personally. But people need to surround themselves with greatness.
Mhm.
Surround yourself with other people that you know are great. Just to throw a few examples out there, we could talk about, the Chiefs in football. Those are great people. Mahomes is a great leader for the Chiefs. And he surrounds, he's a good leader that leads them. What do? They get people that are in there that they don't know if they're going to be good. They take a chance on them. They sign them to a 1 to 2 year contract. Next thing you know, they become better and then they're a star athlete. That athlete now has an opportunity to go play for another team to go make more money and stuff. They surround themselves with people that are great. If you want to get better at your faith, you need to surround yourself with people that are actively in the word, people that are actively going to a Bible study group, that are going to church on Sunday, that are on the worship team, that are, leading and serving the Lord in so many different aspects. And so it almost feels like if you want to build your confidence in what you're saying, that you need to surround yourself with people that are going to build you up. It sounds like the what you were talking about, how he would make his bed and stuff. There's little aspects that go into it that you notice that you'll catch up from other people that you're doing. For example, if you want to have a better relationship with the Lord and you notice that if I'm looking at you, Hunter, and I'm seeing, wow, Hunter, he reads his in his book every day. He reads his devotions. He reads in scripture. I'm like, how am I going to get better? And I start to see that what you're doing, you know, I'm going to start to understand that adaptive nature, and I'm going to start to be on the same page as you, and we're going to start reading together and hold each other accountable and get better at that. There's certain things that I'll do myself to where, okay, maybe Hunter doesn't do that, but I'll do this, and it'll help me grow. But being more together is great. We talk about there's that one scripture. I want to say it's Proverbs 37 where it says, iron sharpens iron. And it's so true because, who you surround yourself around is it's so key. It's so key, man. And it really does it's powerful. There's power in the friends you surround yourself by, and there's certain times in my life where I had to look around and say, this wasn't the right group for me, or this wasn't the right setting that I was in, and I needed to do a reset on my life, where I need to get more devoted into the word, or I need to be more spiritual in this aspect. And certain things that you just have to do that. You have to look around and say, am I partying too much? Am I drinking too much? Am I smoking? What do I need to let go in my life that's going to allow me to get closer to the Lord? Or what do I need to let go to get better at my sport or get better at my job or to grow personally? And everybody has one thing, there's always one thing that somebody could easily let go of. One thing that I let go of was really tough was video games a little while back. Like I do not play video games anymore. Occasionally I'll play Mario Kart, something crazy, something old school game, but I don't play like how I used to. Like every day I'd get on the game, and I don't inspire for that anymore. I don't desire to get back on the game. And, I used to be super good at Madden. I used to love telling people, let's play Madden, let's play. But now it's almost like it's good that I have a healthy relationship away from video games.
That's cool. I think asking yourself the question, like, what do I need to let go of? Or like, what is maybe blocking me from reaching my potential, from becoming the
Yeah,
best version of me? And I feel like at that point in your life, the easy answer was video games. And then
yeah,
you're doing a great job at that. But then later on in life, there's going to be something else. Like everybody, there's always like levels to it, right? Like sometimes it's video games, and then at some points in our life, like for me, maybe it's less time on social media,
yeah,
right? And I
yeah.
finally do good at that. Then maybe it's like, all right, I need to let go of all this extra sugar I'm eating. It's just interesting.
Dude,
Like
yes.
you decide to be the best version of yourself, it's cool because there's always like you always have a purpose to fulfill and something to get better at, and you can always get better and better and better. So that's interesting. So like asking like, what is blocking me? What do I need to let go of?
Yeah, and there's always something, and that's where our egos take a major hit, and it really is brutal because we don't want to let go of that. That's something we do every day, whatever it might be, whether we crave a sweet treat at night or whether we crave playing video games when we get home from work or whether I don't know, whatever it might be, there's always something that you can hold yourself to where it's like, I'm on Instagram too much, I'm on TikTok too much, I'm on doing this. And it's not that you're doing it wrong. People think that it's negative or that it's wrong. There's power in stuff that you do, and you can find that in everything. But it's just what's holding me back from what you really want to obtain. Like, what is my bigger goal than being on Instagram for an hour? And when you put it in that perspective, you're like, now I feel like I need to get off Instagram because you're holding yourself accountable. Accountability is major and it's so huge. And I think that it plays a big part in whatever you want to be to become great. This is such a good topic of greatness, man. I really do like this because, I said it earlier, you find your purpose. So like that's the first one, purpose plus consistency equals greatness. And then to become great, you surround yourself with great people. There's like those two things are like massive. And I feel like there's probably a third point in there too, finding it and searching for it. It feels like it just comes naturally when you have those two things in your life. When it's a good topic on greatness. I really like it.
Right. Yeah. And like purpose plus consistency for sure is like the personal thing that is with greatness. But then again, you need the accountability and you need the community, right? You
Yes.
need like you need to have someone that you look up to that is like considered a mentor,
Yeah.
uh, whether you work with them or whether you just watch their videos on YouTube, like or
Yeah.
read books like David Goggins, like Jocko, or just depends. It just depends. Like that's just if you want to be like more masculine or disciplined specifically. But like
Yeah.
community, just they say like you become like the four closest people in your life. You become like them or something like that. So
Yeah.
like a small, I feel like a small group of a community because finding like good influences is like pretty hard. So like a small group of a like-minded community, but then
Yeah.
again, like a community can also be the church you go to, right?
Yeah.
So and even your family, it just depends. But
There's two things that I wanted to say that are good. You don't have to find somebody to help you with your consistency that has the same purpose as you. You guys can have two separate purposes, but your consistency can still enable each other. Like for example, if I'm trying to get closer in my faith and just using this as an example, and you're trying to get closer to whatever sport you're playing, we still might have ways that we can hold each other accountable that will help us reach that consistency goal. Your purpose is your goals. Like that's really what it is. When you write your goals down, it helps you achieve them so much more. I'm a firm believer in that. If you have a whiteboard in your room or whatever, and you write down, like, I want to lose 20 pounds, and you see that every morning when you wake up, like, that sits in your brain and makes you think, like, I need to lose weight. Like, I need to be consistent today. Like, I need to be held accountable to my responsibilities of what I set for myself. So it's good. It's good.
no, yeah, it's funny you say that because I rearranged my office, my little office in here yesterday, and I put a whiteboard where it's like visible, so
Yeah.
like I can see it. Um, I'm looking at my goals right now. So you're so right. So cool.
It's good, bro.
Remind yourself of those goals. Yeah. I suggest people getting a whiteboard for sure. It's
It
fun to write
is.
on a whiteboard. I know.
Yeah, and it is. It's fun to have a schedule. It's fun to have something that you do on set days. You know, that consistency, there's so many things you can branch off from that, but a schedule with consistency is key. Like you're going to go to bed at 9 o'clock. You're going to wake up at 6 a.m. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're not going to say, I want to. You're going to say, I'm going to do it because it makes you feel like you're going to accomplish it. You're going to knock it out. So, people that always say, like, man, like, I always have people come up to me saying, like, man, you have it all figured out. Like, you have the Lord in your life. And I'm like, I have nothing figured out. Like, I want to keep learning. Like, the moment I tell myself I have it all figured out is when I stop, you know? Like, you have to have that mindset where you're like, I only know this much and I have so much more to learn. Like when you have that mentality, it's so great because it makes you learn from so much more people that are so much have so much wisdom and have so much knowledge in their life. I love speaking to like elders at our church or people that have been there for so long that have seen so much more than I have seen in my life. And I love just picking their brain on stuff like what's a story you have that encountered you to be in this moment, or certain challenges I'm facing. Like, did you ever go through that? The mentorship you said is so huge. And to have a leader or somebody that is mentoring you in your life it's truly powerful. There's so much power in that. So helps with your consistency.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so cool to be living in our times with our technology because
Oh,
simply we can find mentors without even meeting them. You know, there's
yeah,
so many
it
motivate
really is.
so many
We take
motivate.
advantage of that every day. Like that's a blessing in itself.
Oh yeah, some of my favorite mentors, and I'd love to hear who are yours. I guess people you like to maybe listen to or watch. There's this one dude, he's pretty chill. His name's Brandon DeMoss. I was playing. I like Andrew Huberman because
Oh yeah.
he he's he's like, how do I describe Andrew Huberman? He's a scientist
Yeah.
um who is nerdy but still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love to listen to him. He's a mentor to me. He inspires me to just learn more, use my brain more because he's always doing these cool, episodes that are like scientifically based, but he's also like super swole and fit and he's funny. Uh,
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite. And then I love David Goggins. I like to listen to Jocko once in a while.
Oh yeah. Great guys.
What about you? Is there anyone that you like to in the virtual world like listen to?
Yeah. Yeah, I love, I'm more so faith-based right now, but there's a couple guys well, there's actually a couple people and they just spoke at like it's called the Passion Conference and it happens like once a year. It's like a major like Christian conference that goes on and it happened in Atlanta this year. My girlfriend had the opportunity to go, which was really cool. But I really like this guy. He wasn't at the conference this year, but his name is Greg Laurie and he is the one that made that movie, The Jesus Revolution, and it is really good. It's an amazing movie. It's on Netflix, super awesome, and it like broke box office records for like a faith-based movie, and it was really good. And I enjoyed it a lot. It was super great. So I listen to him every now and then. And then this is actually a funny one, but my girlfriend loves her. Her name's Sadie Robinson, and she does so good for like the girl community. Like I see my girlfriend like thrive on her word, like what Sadie Robinson puts out. And like she is powerful for like young girls or even like just women in general. Like she has a good word that she can deliver all the time. And it's funny because she used to be on the show Duck Dynasty growing up. So it's
Oh,
funny, like nobody knew like that this girl was going to become like such an amazing, like just, I don't like way of putting words together. She's so amazing at it. So
wow,
it's fun to see. So there's a couple people that are out there, but I'm more so on the faith-based side. But
that's great.
I love listening to Gary Brecka. I think he is wicked smart, and his transformation with Dana White was crazy. And he always has good stuff that I like to pick my like. He talks about how influential like the sauna and like an ice bath is. Like those two things are just
I,
mind-boggling to me. Like how impactful it is on your body.
I always forget. Okay, so I love him too, and I love the oh man, Dana White. Okay, he has that video. I'm pretty sure maybe you're talking about it where he
Yeah.
talks information. And is it the one where he's like, "Don't listen to your doctors"? Like,
Yes.
okay, I love that. That video like plays in my mind, and for
All
some
the time.
like I actually followed Gary Becca because of that video.
Yeah.
But every time I forget that dude's name. Like I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
because my
I
wife
know.
talks about him and
Yeah.
some of my other friends do than you did, and like I had to look him up really quick because I'm like, dude, why do I forget that guy?
Dude, yeah, Gary Brecka, bro, he's a legend.
And then
He's got it down. He's got it figured out. And what he talks about is good because he's talking about stuff that's going on in your body. Like people talk about like, it's simple. You run on the treadmill, you'll lose weight, and it's like, no, it's not that simple. Like he breaks down like what cortisol does in your body, and he breaks down like what this vitamin has this certain benefit to it, and this is what produces this. And it makes so much more sense because it opens your eyes to certain things that you don't see from like the natural standpoint.
he I actually have the chills, bro. He has this video. He talks about L-theanine. Have you seen
Yes.
that? I actually
Do you
he
get that neurogum?
I've
Neurogum
had it.
has,
I actually
yeah.
have it. So I used to, I know it just went viral because of that, but I used it for a little before, like years ago running. But I actually went and got the mints because they have
Oh,
mint versions. Mints are the move, Brandon. I'm telling you, they have a little bit of caffeine,
yeah,
but I'm telling you, dude, like it's like a natural like Adderall.
yeah. No, literally. So you're saying the mints are better than the gum?
110% in my opinion. I mean,
Wow.
it's I have both. But I love the mints, and they actually sell them in person at Sprouts. You can get like
No
three of them
kidding.
for $9, and I don't like the cinnamon. I like the mint flavor, and I swear my productivity has gone through the roof. I
I need to
like
look into it, bro. I need to look into it ASAP.
L-theanine. Well, it also has caffeine in it, but it has like B6, B12, which is great for
Yes.
cognitive stuff. But L-theanine, there's a lot of mental health benefits to it. Like it'll help reduce anxiety, it'll make you more chill, more productive. And I'm trying to quit energy drinks in terms of
Yes.
Celsius, Alani. I've been really successful at it, knock on wood, but I've
Yeah.
for a while still been drinking other ones.
Yeah.
But this is sparkling water, has a little bit of caffeine, and it has L-theanine, 200 mg L-theanine, 100 mg of caffeine. Uh,
Wow.
so anyway, I'm telling you all this because Gary Becca really inspired me to try the L-theanine, and I really like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
I love learning about that. Another person, Brandon, have you heard of Brian Johnson or
Oh,
no?
yeah.
Really? I've
Yeah.
so many people, I guess, that I'd ask say yes.
Yeah. I've seen him on social media, but yeah.
He, I have mixed feelings about him, but at the end of the day, I love what he's trying to do. Simply, if you don't,
Yeah.
he's trying
His
to
purpose is bigger than that. Yeah.
live to be what's his
Like
purpose?
like soup, like I saw it the other day, but like almost over 100 something. Like
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
just,
he's trying to
it's
live to
crazy.
be like to either like never die or like 150 years old. Like
Yeah.
he's a very successful entrepreneur, but that's his life purpose. And there's some weird stuff that he does where I'm like, no way, like with the skincare. But
Yes.
he really inspired me to he focuses on sleep. He
Yeah.
actually like mastered sleep with his sleep scores. And I'm just saying all this because it's so cool. There's so many different types of mentors, and maybe you vibe with them and not. Like Gary Becca is like super good on supplements. Brian Johnson's like, this is how you can live to be long. David Goggins is like, this is how you have more discipline. And then your spiritual people is like, it's so cool. So whatever you want to do in your life or better, either go to Barnes and Noble, get a book
Yeah.
on it, or just simply go on YouTube and look.
Yeah. It's not that hard to be great, honestly. These are just a couple people we've mentioned for greatness, but it's really not that hard. It's simple. These guys all, their model is simply based on being consistent in doing it. Like they just continue to knock it out of the park by doing, like they just keep going. They don't give up. Consistency is so key. It really is.
Yeah, Brandon, are you still going in the sauna? I know you.
Yeah, been doing that. Yeah, the last couple, I go 3 times a week is like my limit.
What are some of the benefits that you've experienced from that?
First of all, better sleep right off the bat. I do it before I go to bed at night because I get off work at 11 p.m. So I go to the sauna and I do 30 minutes. I do 30
Oh,
minutes and
so right before bed you do it.
yes. So I get off and at work, I get off at 11, cruise over to the gym. I do like 30, 20 minutes. I found out was a little bit like I don't totally like am wiped out. 30 minutes, I don't feel wiped out. I still feel good afterwards. Like I still have energy and stuff, which is great, but I just feel completely like rejuvenated in a way. Like I sweat so much. First time, this is the first week I've played basketball since doing the sauna, and I was ready to play 10 more games when I was done. Like
Wow.
my endurance and cardio is like at an all-time high right now. Like
Very
I feel like I can like play basketball for so long. Like normally after like 3 or 4 games, I'm like, all right, calling it a night. And it's crazy, but because I know that the sauna, like just the sweating, all of it out, I feel like I'm sweating out so many bad toxins and so many things. But I might need to look into more of like a time for the sauna if there's anything I need to get better at. I don't
cool.
know if I'm doing it too long or if I need to be going longer or what it is, but I found that like that seems comfortable for me, that range because I like the feeling of sweating it out. Like I love the feeling of like it almost feels like I'm getting a lot of like just bad toxins and genuinely just crap like out of my body. Like I'm glad that I feel like I am soaked when I get out of it too. Like I'm totally like just drenched in sweat.
Did I tell you about the 89-year-old lady in the sauna?
No, no, what?
Okay. So I'm just like you. I like to pick older people's brains, especially at,
Yeah,
but I'm in the sauna and there's just like a nice, like a really nice old lady. Um, and it's a combined sauna and I like to pick her brain because I don't know. So I was like, how long have you been doing the sauna for? Because if you talk in the sauna, it goes by way quicker.
it
Have you?
goes way quicker when you talk. That's so true.
So I was like, what's your secret? How long you been doing this? She's like, ever since she's 89. She's like, ever since I've been 38 years old, 3 times a week, 15 to 20 minutes, I go in the sauna. She's like, I'm
Okay.
89 years old. And dude, Brandon, she looked like she was like, she didn't have a wrinkle on her face and looked like she was like 40. And I was like, so is that
No
I was
kidding.
like, is that the secret to like good health? She's like, yeah, and eating vegetables, all this stuff. But she was like, my husband died of cancer, and during the most stressful times of my life, I would come in the sauna and it makes me relax. And dude, so
I'm a big believer in the sauna, and I'm a even bigger believer in how much water you drink per day. I
same.
think drinking water, my grandma is like she's like the one that inspires me, like just slamming water. Like I know that like every time I would see her growing up, like she'd have her little jug of water, and before hydros and anything were cool, like she would always do that. And I was like, she drinks so much water. And I mean, her skin, like you said, not a wrinkle on her skin, nothing. And my grandma's coming up on 75. So it's like, I mean, it's just crazy to think about because I think the more water you drink helps flush out your body, one, because think about all the organs that water is like using when you're drinking it, you're flushing your kidneys out, it's going through the digestive part of your body. It just feels, I don't know. Every time I read scripture too, they talk about how powerful water is in scripture. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like there's so much stuff that water has benefits to.
Yeah, do you want to hear something really interesting about water? I
Yeah.
I just read about it, and we had a girl our age on the show the other day, and she sells water, so she like knows a lot about it. But
Yeah.
dude, you know how so being dehydrated is linked to obesity,
Yeah.
and you know how camels like barely drink water.
Yeah.
Um,
They like
that,
store it all, right?
yeah, and that's why they have the big humps because their like cells down there are like dehydrated. So dehydration is like linked to obesity and something that like shows in the camels. It's one of the main
So
reasons.
crazy.
Yeah, and there's a thing, bro. You can actually look it up. There's a website and you can check the tap water purity. And you put in your zip code here in Summerlin, I did it, and it says all the not ingredients, but the chemicals that are in it. And there's one that is like times 250 of the amount. I forgot what it's called, but it's linked to causing cancer. So like
Dude,
drinking like water and specifically clean water can
yeah.
really impact your health.
Dude, the only water we get it every week, we get the alkaline. Like it's like such good, like the 9.5. That's like it's some of the best for you. Like I know exactly what you're talking about because my mom was the one that found out about that.
Wow.
Because like my mom, she was talking about like the fluoride in the water, and it was like a big thing with that. And so my mom saying like we need to get our own like purifier and stuff, and we got the whole system. Like that's the only water I drink, dude. Like it's crazy.
Same. Oh my gosh, me and my wife, so we read this book. It's fire. It's
Yeah.
called Good Energy. It'll teach you all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been a month since we got a new water filtering system.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Dude,
And
it's good.
I've only been drinking that water for the most part.
Yeah.
And I feel a difference. But sometimes in the sauna, I have to drink the gym water because I get so thirsty, bro.
Dude, I know.
Isn't it my favorite thing is to go in the sauna and just drink a bunch of water.
Yeah.
I don't
You feel
know.
good. I feel replenished. Like I feel amazing post sauna.
Yeah. Do you know, speaking of like health, I know in the Bible it talks about like sometimes what they would eat, and they'd eat a lot of lentils.
Yes.
And I don't know, to eat healthier, there's a brand called Ezekiel. Have you heard of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they make their bread. It's super healthy. It actually scores 100 out of 100 on like health stuff. But anyway, it's like made of lentils, and
Crazy.
it's so cool what they're doing, to be honest.
Yeah. No, dude, it's so crazy when like you find something that is like, I don't know, like there's the we find stuff in the Bible and stuff, and it has all the answers already. You know what I mean? Like we have all the answers at the forefront of our fingertips, and like we just choose to like not be in it at times. And it's like we can answer our own questions right now.
What is, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
either for you or in the position of leadership of mentoring at your church that you see, what's either one thing that's the most common thing you see or that's happened to you that you found an answer to something in the Bible or just reading? Like what's one thing that you've learned
That I've pulled from it.
that you
Yeah.
take where
Well, to be completely honest with you, we mentioned the water, and I thought that that was fascinating too. But the biggest thing that I found out was I had like a total like spiritual, like when I came to my faith in 2019, I didn't have community around me. I didn't know who to trust or who was my faith. And we talked about iron sharpening iron earlier, and that's one of my favorite verses in all honesty because of that. Um, it made me get acclimated with a church, and it made me feel like, wow, no kidding. This is like, there's truth behind this, you know? And then obviously, like, it's such a cliche verse, but um, I think I always forget what exactly like where it's at in Philippians, but or excuse me, in Romans 12. Um, I there's a chapter in there. I don't know exactly what verse it is, but I know it's in chapter Romans 12, and it just talks about like like your purpose and like what you're called to do. And I like love that verse. It talks about like how we need to be hospitable and how you'll reap the you'll get it back like tenfold is like pretty much what the verse is saying. Like whatever you give out, like you'll get back. And so I like always believed that verse from the moment I read it. And it like led me through like all the things I did. Like when I worked for the Raiders, I got that internship at Red Rock. And then when I got the internship at Red Rock, I like got hired at Durango. And it like felt like it was all fueled and powered by that verse because I believed in that verse so truly. I like lived that verse. And like when I read that it was talking about the gifts of hospitality, like we have gifts that were given by God. And like I truly feel like my gift by God was to be hospitable with people, like to be called to be, in a room where I feel like I can like brighten everybody's day, or I can talk to people comfortably and not be awkward, or, lead people to something new and be a big part of like community and bridging together that friendship or the compatibility or whatever relationship we might have, like to bring it together. And I feel that like wholeheartedly in my heart and in my mind. And that verse was super powerful to me. I have to find out exactly where it's at in Romans because Romans is so massive. It's you can read that
right.
for days.
So you okay, hospitality being tied into your life purpose, right?
Yeah.
So did this scripture say something about that?
Yeah, sorry. I know I didn't go like super deep into it. I can look honestly really quick, but it says like Romans 12, and it pretty much just talks about the gifts that were given by God. Like each one of us has a gift from God. And
Yeah,
then once you find your gift, like you have to give your gift out to the people you're around, and your gift you'll be rewarded tenfold by using your gift and
that's
like the spiritual gifts that we all have.
That's amazing. I've so I've prayed a lot about purpose because one of my good buddies started a company about helping people like literally finding their purpose.
Yeah.
I lived with him and we were best buddies. And he really helped me a ton trying to find help me find, my purpose and teaching me how to do it. And something I've noticed through a couple years of really just wanting to find my purpose is if we can use the scriptures. So I feel like there's three parts to it.
Yeah.
Number one, we know kind of what we're good at. You know, Brandon, that you're good at like hospitality traits, right?
Yeah.
And number two and three is I feel like God will reveal to us certain values and characteristics that we should live our life by.
Yes.
But then I feel like we can find specific things like this that
Yes.
like really say, like for me, actually, I was praying to God and he gave me some specific words and characteristics to live by. And he also told me a specific thing like helping people in my generation overcome this corrupt mindset.
Yes, bro.
Really cool to
It's
just
really cool. It's amazing. It's crazy. And you just laid it out so perfectly. Like
yeah,
I'm a big believer in that. Like,
that's awesome. God will speak to us. But like you said at the beginning of the show, you get what you ask for. Like if
yeah.
you're gonna pray to have patience, you're gonna have opportunity
Yes.
patience.
I
And
know. And it's challenging because you're not expecting it.
yeah, and if you pray to know your purpose or what direction to take in your life, you better be ready to take action because it'll come. But you better
Bro, I
be,
love it. It's so good.
yeah. Is there anything else you want to dive into, Brandon, here today?
Bro, I think we got a good, that was a good one. I like it. We had a good amount. We touched on sports a little, we touched on faith, and we talked about, health and all the good benefits we have there. I like where we're at.
Me too. Anything to end this? Call to action, invitation for anybody?
Yeah, I guess I like to like summary like what we were talking about. And so, you know, my 2 points that I guess when it comes to being great, and whatever you want to do, whether it's in your faith or, more importantly is for my faith. You have to find your purpose, and then your purpose, once you find your purpose, you have to be consistent at it, and then greatness will come. And so that's like the biggest thing I can take out of like this whole like podcast we did today. And then surround yourself with people that are great. When you know people that are making big choices in their lives, that are doing the right thing, they have a schedule, you notice that they're doing things that you want to do, surround yourself with those people. Maybe you have to look around and cut some people off in your life because they're not making you great. They're only holding you back. So not saying that you have to totally cut them off. Maybe you can be the community to bring them to with you, but say like, hey, I can't be doing this. Like I'm trying to change right now, or I'm trying to get better at what I'm doing and I'm trying to be great. So
Amazing. I love it. Honestly, bro, I usually have. I think on every single episode, I've been pretty quick to say a call to action or invitation to give. But I'm looking down at my notes and I'm like, wow, I really don't know what to say right now. I'm just gonna start talking. Call to action, shoot. I think it comes down to accountability and community.
yep.
You don't have to have 100 people of a community. It can just
No.
be even a couple. Like iron sharpens iron, as Brandon
Yes.
was saying. If you're struggling, reach out to me, reach out to Brandon, and we can all be homies and we can just keep each other
Always.
accountable, to be
Yes,
that.
sir.
But Brandon, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks
Yes,
again.
bro.
I hope everybody has a great Saturday. Just be the best versions of yourself and a good
Let's
weekend.
do it.